All right, welcome back to Two Stupid Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Vinny,
I'm Dylan.
and today we're going to talk about Cathie Wood's current portfolio holdings. I'm not sure if you're aware who Cathie Woods is, Dylan, but she's kind of grown to fame a little bit lately. She has, I think it was 3 or 4 ETFs last year that were all up over 100%. If you're not aware, ETF is exchange traded fund. It's kind of like a more modern mutual fund. The nice thing about ETFs is there's not really a minimum to invest in it. You can kind of get in and out of it as you wish. It's because it's traded on the open market. So it's a little bit, I guess, a little bit easier product than a mutual fund, if you will. This is kind of a comparison to last week's video where we talked about Michael Burry and his portfolio holdings. So Michael Burry is actually a private investor, so he doesn't manage outside funds right now. So basically his holdings are displayed on an SEC filing. If you own more than $100 million in assets, you have to display that quarterly. So the data we talked about last week was at least 45 days or so out of date. Whereas Cathie Wood's stuff is current as of Friday, this past Friday.
Yeah, they are quite different in their strategies, as we are going to see.
Yeah, so if you want to show us what you see when you look at the graph there, we'll talk about some things.
So this is her ETF. This is the weekly chart. So this is going all the way back to September, all the way back to this is COVID. She did not really take that much of a hit here, but she is definitely she's definitely killing it. The heavy volume that she went down on. Granted, let's go to the daily chart. This was kind of a bad week for the market overall, so it's kind of tough to see what's going on. Also, what would be very misleading is if you went to the weekly chart here and you see this big scary bar of red volume, you're going to think that it was falling fairly heavily. That was actually on a good day. But because it opened at a higher price and closed at a lower price, all of the volume's red.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. So this right here is our current holdings. As you can see, Tesla is indeed still her largest holding. She actually said she added to it recently because Tesla's had a little bit of a pullback of late. She's very heavily invested in the technology, biotech kind of sphere. So Square, Roku, Teladoc is kind of another somewhat COVID-related play where it's telemedicine. Spotify. This is actually an interesting one. I need to look a little bit further at Spotify. Any subscription-based model is kind of interesting to me. That recurring revenue.
Especially because Spotify had a lot of kind of increase in competition here in the last year.
Yeah. But they're definitely like the early big player to a certain degree, the Netflix of podcasting and things like that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Zillow. Zillow's another interesting one too. I'm not really sure how much they've had success with this, but they at one point they were attempting to use a algorithm on their back end to buy and sell real estate was their eventual thought process. I'm not sure if they're still in development on that or if they've actually executed that. But they, as Zillow said, basically they see a lot of information on house prices, and they're in an area where they think they could have a competitive advantage in, purchasing and selling real estate.
Right.
Yeah.
Baidu also, just for those of you that don't know, they're one of the biggest internet and AI companies in the world. It's a Chinese company. So if you haven't heard of them, that's why.
Yeah. Interesting.
They're day traded quite a lot. She's in a lot of biotechs, a lot more than I would have thought.
Yeah. She actually has a separate fund that is just biotechnology focused. It's promising, interesting technology, CRISPR technology, but therapeutics from the company standpoint. I can't say I'm particularly familiar with their product line, but the CRISPR technology is definitely something I am familiar with. The basically underlying premise is gene editing via a kind of discovery we made in bacteria, where bacteria actually were able to integrate a certain portion of viral DNA into their own genome, and then have like a basically ability to recognize it, and then also to cut it when it's seen again. So they're hoping to leverage that in terms of actual in vivo, meaning like in living tissue gene editing. So that's the idea.
They've definitely run into some problems though, because essentially when they try to do that, there's a protein that gets created that just destroys what they had just edited. That was a while ago. That's not updated. So
yeah. I mean, I know there was a certain type of genetic blindness that there was a CRISPR like cure for, basically. But the one of the interesting debates around it was that the treatment cost is pretty insane. I think it was $1.3 million per eye, I want to say. So I mean,
if I had it, I'd pay it. I like being able to see.
So it is certainly advantageous to be able to see. So I don't know are you familiar with Invitae at all, Dylan?
I honestly no. I had looked it up just now when you were talking. They essentially sell like genetic test kits. So it's another genetic play. She's also in the stock symbol is EDIT, edit. It's a very, very similar thing to CRISPR. It's not in her top 20 though, so it doesn't show up, but she's in quite a bit of those.
Yeah, very much so. Definitely a very heavy technology, biotech kind of influence portfolio here. PayPal, taking a little bit of hit of late as well, but that they have the potential. They've kind of hinted at becoming like a Robinhood competitor, and I think that would be very welcome by the market at this particular point in time. So, I'd like to see them execute on that. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about an actual definitive launch date or where they are at in the development process, but they have talked about it publicly. So we shall see.
It's really heavy in Roku. That's pretty surprising to me.
Interesting.
I think they're worth like 50 billion or something. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're killing it. But I really like Fubo, and it really makes me lose confidence in Fubo now that she's in Roku.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I know Roku has both a device and like the streaming service, so they kind of have like a twofer, which is nice. Kind of like Apple's doing the same thing too, but like Apple's not making any inroads really into streaming, so it doesn't always mean that much.
Yeah, well, I think Roku is more like it's almost like a Fire Stick, right? Because you get like all the apps. Yeah. So Apple's trying to do their own individual streaming, which is a little bit different. But man, that's a lot of biotech companies.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. I mean, like I said, the other science stuff too makes good sense. Zoom obviously is a big stock these days. People doing a lot more communication via Zoom. Not terribly dissimilar to what we're doing right now. But and DocuSign, same kind of thing. Another like kind of business technology play there. Makes good sense. I think a lot of them are going to be here to stay for a while. Definitely accelerated our this whole pandemic accelerated our kind of switch towards more technology, I guess, utilization in our business lives and stuff. But
Twitter is going up. They projected that they're going to make a lot of money by like 2023. Lending Tree is another cool one. It's essentially basically if you need to take out a loan for houses or whatever, you can try to find a borrower that will fit your needs. It's kind of a cool idea. I'm actually surprised I haven't heard of it before.
Twitter, I know they announced they're planning to double the revenue over the next 2 years. They're
planning to kill it,
monetizing their platform a little bit more, institute a subscription service, and then also they talked about possibly like tipping people on Twitter, which is interesting. I don't know how much you look on there, but there's a lot of folks that publish or tweet about stocks and stuff like that on Twitter as well, including Michael Burry under the name Cassandra.
What? Under the name Cassandra?
Yeah, I don't know the reference, but Michael Burry's Twitter handle is Cassandra.
I'm gonna say someone made it for him and he didn't know how to switch it. I'm gonna say it's one of those.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably a literary reference. I know Scion Capital was a literary reference, but that's his fund. Yeah, most
All
of
right,
these
well,
other Regeneron I know has a antibody. I'm sorry, treatment for COVID-19. So Novartis.
they're a little bit late to the party here.
I think that they've been actually out there for a while. I can't
Okay,
remember the
good.
name of their product, but
Oh, wait, is their stock NOVA?
no,
Hold
no.
on.
Yeah, see, I know Novartis too, mostly from insulin. Actually, is the product that I'm familiar with them.
That's different. Never mind.
Yeah. It's a big name these days. Palantir. It had a pretty horrible week. She actually increased her position in Palantir this week. The lockup period expired for insiders, so there's been a fair amount of insider selling, which has put downward pressure on the stock.
Lot 118 million worth of
Yeah,
insider
it should
selling.
be interesting. I'm sure it'll make a bottom at some point, and from there on, I think it actually might be a good entry point, because their data aggregation software platform, from what I've heard from folks that work in IT, is by far one of the easiest to like interface with. So we'll see what sort of play out from that. But I'm not personally an IT professional, so there.
I'm looking at a different screen, and I switched back, and I just realized the ticker symbols are on the right-hand side. When I asked if NOVA was the same thing.
Yeah, no,
I'm looking at a different screen. That's my bad.
All right, but yeah, interesting. A little Snapchat down here. It's the last company I kind of recognize there. This Morgan Stanley too. Is that a bond? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, she's got Pinterest.
Yeah. Judging by the amount of time my wife spends on Pinterest, it's probably a good investment.
They're doing really well. She owns less than 0.01% of her portfolio.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We'll publish the link to this below in the description, so if you want to check it out yourself. But it's always a good idea to kind of look at these well-known, well-respected investors and see what sort of stuff they're looking at right now. Both. I think it gives us like ideas of other stocks to look at. Do you agree with that, Dylan?
Yeah, no, for sure. It
Yeah.
gives me less faith in Fubo and more faith in Roku, which is a bit of a bummer because I'm invested in not the right one.
Yeah, very true. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Have a good one.